Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Liverpool transfer news as bid submitted for Marc Guehi and Alexander Isak frustration. Liverpool remains in dialogue with Crystal Palace over the transfer of Marc Guehi. The Reds have monitored the defender's situation all summer with Guehi out of contract at the end of the season and having no desire to pen an extension at Selhurst Park. Despite months of interest, it took until Saturday for Liverpool to submit a formal bid for the England international, believed to be in the region, of 35,047 memoirs. It's understood Palace has countered that offer, with negotiations expected to continue on Sunday. Given Guehi's stance, Palace's willingness to sell, and Liverpool's long-standing interest, there would be surprise in London and on Merseyside if a deal was not concluded before Monday's deadline. However, talks for Alexander Isak have not progressed at this stage. Despite reports on Saturday that Liverpool and Newcastle United were close to agreeing a transfer fee, sources have told Liverpool.com that there has been no change to Isak's situation. Reports of a breakthrough are also understood to have frustrated Anfield officials. That said, following the arrival of Nick Woltemade from Stuttgart, even Eddie Howe has admitted Newcastle cannot remain oblivious to the club's current predicament. Liverpool would certainly be keen if a suitable price can be agreed. Some contact is expected between the clubs across Sunday and Monday, with the Times claiming Liverpool will not match Newcastle's $130,176 asking price. Elsewhere, Joe Gomez is expected to remain at Liverpool despite reported interest from Palace and AC Milan. The Premier League champions are adamant they will not allow Gomez to leave on loan, while it would take a sizable offer to convince Liverpool to sell, even with the potential arrival of Guehi. The Reds' stance on Harvey Elliott is similar. The 22-year-old has attracted interest from across the Premier League and Europe this summer, but Liverpool's high valuation is putting off potential suitors. RB Leipzig has pushed to conclude a deal in recent days, but any exit for Elliott looks unlikely given he remains a valued asset in Arne Slot's squad. It would certainly take a fee north of the $40 million Everton paid for Tyler Dibling, or $42 million West Ham United parted with to sign Matheus Fernandes, to even bring Liverpool to the table. But one player who is expected to leave in the coming days is Kostas Tsimikas. The defender looks set to join Roma on loan and has been granted permission by Liverpool to travel to the Italian capital. The Reds had hoped to secure a permanent exit for the Greek international, but have been forced to accept a short-term offer at this late stage of the window. Liverpool transfer news. Reds set limit for Alexander Isak amid Arne Slot fear. With less than 48 hours of the summer transfer window remaining, the saga goes on. Alexander Isak remains a Newcastle player, but he hasn't been seen in black and white since May. Liverpool's bid of $110 million was rejected earlier this month, and the Reds are yet to improve on their offer. Currently training alone after missing the entirety of Newcastle's preseason and their opening 3 Premier League games, Isak remains adamant that he won't play for the Magpies again after holding fresh talks with club chiefs. But Isak isn't the only target who Liverpool have on their radar. A move for Marc Guehi is on the offing, with Crystal Palace open to selling the England international after he entered the final year of his contract. The Reds' summer spending is already close to the $300 million mark, and it could increase to more than $450 million if Isak and Guehi are both signed. Outgoings are therefore required before Monday's 7 p.m. deadline, and one appears to be imminent. Here's a roundup of the latest transfer news from Anfield. Liverpool won't pay $130 million for Isak. Liverpool aren't prepared to pay anywhere near $130 million for Alexander Isak, it's claimed. The Reds already smashed the British transfer record earlier this summer with the signing of Florian Wirtz for an eye-watering $116 million, less than Newcastle would demand for Isak. However, TalkSport report that Liverpool don't intend to pay anywhere near $130 million for the Swedish striker. Isak, meanwhile, remains confident that the two clubs will reach an agreement. How much should Liverpool pay for Alexander Isak? Have your say in the comments section. Fear driving Liverpool's pursuit of Guehi. Liverpool's pursuit, Marc Guehi, is being driven by the fear that Ibrahima Konate has had his head turned by Real Madrid. Mirror Football understands. Konate's deal with the Reds expires in June 2026, and he could follow in Trent Alexander-Arnold's footsteps by moving to Madrid on a free transfer. Guehi, 25, is Liverpool's top centre-back target, and a 35 million fee has been mooted. Crystal Palace want 2 signings before sanctioning his departure, though, which could see this one go right until the deadline on Monday. Tsimikas, having medical at Roma Costas Tsimikas, landed in Italy on Saturday to have a medical ahead of his season-long loan move to Roma. Having signed Bournemouth's Milos Kerkez for 40 million, 29-year-old Tsimikas dropped to 3rd in the left-back pecking order at Anfield. The Greek defender's move is a straight loan with no option to buy. Tsimikas has 2 years left on his contract with Liverpool. Liverpool could be without key transfer for Arsenal as updates shared on 3 injuries. Liverpool are set to be boosted by a number of key returning players for the visit of Arsenal. Alexis Mac Allister looks in line to start when the Gunners head to Anfield in the Premier League on Sunday. Mac Allister missed the wild 3-2 win at Newcastle United on Monday and was absent for long spells of pre-season too. However, head coach Arne Slot provided a positive update on his condition ahead of the showdown with Arsenal at his press conference on Friday. He also confirmed Connor Bradley was back in contention after coming off the bench at Newcastle. The positive is that Connor Bradley only had 1 or 2 training sessions before the Newcastle game, and he has trained all this week, he said. There are 2 days to go. Alexis has started training too. I don't think we had any injuries coming out of the game. And Virgil van Dijk is also okay, which is maybe the main thing you would question. Van Dijk was on the end of a rough challenge from Anthony Gordon on Monday that ultimately led to the Newcastle man being sent off. However, he was able to recover and continue playing. It means the only player Liverpool could definitely be without is Jeremy Frimpong, who missed the match with Newcastle because of a hamstring problem. The right-back joined this summer from Bayer Leverkusen in a 30 million deal. Arsenal have a number of concerns ahead of the game. Mikel Arteta has already confirmed that Bukayo Saka will miss out due to a hamstring problem. Like Saka, Martin, Odegaard hobbled out of the Leeds United match with an injury and is a doubt for the game. Arteta did not rule out his captain, although he did confirm he has not yet trained this week. Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus are definitely sidelined with long-term injuries. That means new signing Eberechi Eze could make his debut for Arsenal at Anfield following a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. Cody Gakpo signs new Liverpool FC contract. Cody Gakpo has signed a new long-term contract with Liverpool FC. The forward ensured he will extend his 2.5-year association with the Reds into the future by putting pen to paper on the deal. At the AXA training center on Saturday, Gakpo told LiverpoolFC.com, "It feels amazing to extend the contract here at this beautiful club. I'm very grateful and hopefully I can give back many more beautiful moments. I feel at home. My family feels at home. And that's also a big decision always. They feel good. I'm very happy at the club, a good group, good teammates, so the life around the football itself is very good, and I enjoy every moment of it. I'm very grateful that I can extend." Gakpo completed a move to Anfield from PSV Eindhoven during the January transfer window in 2023. He has since made 131 appearances for Liverpool, scoring 42 times and providing 16 assists. The 26-year-old's time with the Reds has so far also yielded Premier League and Carabao Cup winners' medals, while at international level he has 40 caps for the Netherlands to date. Gakpo has started all 3 of Liverpool's fixtures so far in 2025-26, contributing a goal during the Premier League opening day win over AFC Bournemouth and a brace of assists in Monday night's victory at Newcastle United. He added, Obviously, trying to win more things with the club is my aim with the team. I think we have a very good squad at the moment, and we're trying to build on something special. Again. Obviously, last season we won the league, so we have to defend it with the best of our capabilities. We want to also win the Champions League and the other cups, so that's what we are going for. For me personally, I think I'd like to keep on developing, so every year has to be a better year than the year before. That's what we're aiming for. Liverpool make first offer for Marc Guehi as transfer details explained. Liverpool have made their first offer for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi, according to reports. The centre-back has been on the radar for key figures at Anfield this summer, and they have, seemingly, taken their first steps towards forging a deal before an impending Premier League deadline on September 1st. The Reds are said to have offered $35 million flat with no add-ons. That's according to The Athletic, who indicate that the player's current club are yet to respond to that proposal. Liverpool transfer news live. Isak record bid. Guehi admission. Gomez to AC Milan. With just 2 days left in the transfer window, there is still hope that Liverpool could make two significant additions. Alexander Isak and Marc Guehi remain targets for the Reds, with some form of contact expected in the coming days. That is despite comments from Oliver Glasner that Crystal Palace cannot afford to lose its club captain before the end of the summer window. As for Newcastle United, Eddie Howe said Newcastle can't be oblivious to the goings-on the transfer market, with the Magpies on the verge of concluding a deal for Stuttgart forward Nick Woltemade. It's a transfer those on Merseyside hope could facilitate Isak's move to Liverpool, with reports emerging that a British record offer is imminent. As for outgoings, Liverpool confirmed the departure of one player on loan on Friday in James McConnell, while Kostas Tsimikas could also be set to move on before Monday. Harvey Elliott is expected to remain at Anfield despite interest from RB Leipzig, but Joe Gomez is being linked with AC Milan. Howe in darkness over Isak. Eddie Howe has said he remains unsure about Alexander Isak's future and whether he will be a Newcastle player in 48 hours. I don't know, I'm not party to any talks going on, the Newcastle boss told Sky Sports after the 0-0 draw against Leeds. I've been preparing for this game, and you can imagine that's demanding enough. So, I will find out like everyone else. Howe dismisses Isak's suggestion. Eddie Howe was said to be bemused with suggestions from Swedish media that Alexander Isak was at Newcastle's training ground on Friday to say goodbye to his teammates. The Telegraph's Luke Edwards wrote on X that it was the first time the Magpies boss had heard of those claims. No issue on Guehi terms, more details on Marc Guehi. And transfer reporter Ben Jacobs has claimed on X that the Crystal Palace defender has made it clear he wants to move before the end of the summer window. Guehi has now informed Palace he wants to leave. Personal terms not in place, but will present no issue, Jacobs stated. Latest transfer news: Liverpool launch Marc Guehi move as Chelsea bid for Fermin Lopez. The summer transfer window is now into its final week, and many sides are still on the hunt for new signings. The biggest clubs in European football and clubs across the continent are still midway through their plans for next season. Teams are working tirelessly behind the scenes on identifying targets and figuring out their budgets. Managers will be constantly assessing their squads, with sporting directors and recruitment staff scanning the market for potential deals. A plethora of players will become available in the summer, where clubs famously have more money to spend and aren't as restricted by financial fair play rules. The rumor mill is beginning to pick up pace, and we've collated some of the biggest current transfer stories. Liverpool are hoping to agree a deal for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi to bolster their defense. The Reds have launched a bid worth $40.4 million, but the Eagles are yet to respond. Reports also suggest the champions are preparing to move again for Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak. Chelsea have reportedly submitted an offer to sign Fermin Lopez from Barcelona, The Blues have been tracking the Spanish midfielder ahead of a late move in the transfer window and have now bid 40 million. However, Barca are reluctant to sell unless the 22-year-old asks to leave. Manchester United striker Rasmus Højlund is expected to arrive in Rome today ahead of sealing an initial loan switch to Napoli. The Denmark international is poised to complete his move, which could cost the Serie A club 49.6 million, due to an obligation to buy clause that will become active if Napoli qualify for the Champions League. Alan Shearer names missing Liverpool. Transfer that could seal Premier League title. Alan Shearer has lauded Hugo Ekitike's blistering start to life at Liverpool, but he feels the Reds still need a centre-back to maximize their chances of retaining the title. The Frenchman, who has struck 3 times in as many matches since joining Arne Slot's champions for an initial $69 million, is bidding to upstage Victor Gyökeres against Arsenal today in the battle of newly signed strikers. Betfair ambassador Shearer said, "Ekitike has made a wonderful start, certainly better than even he would have imagined. He's got 3 and 3, I've been really impressed with him, but it remains to be seen how regular he will play if they get the player they want in Alexander Isak. They might shift him to another position, but you can't argue with his record to date." Liverpool need another centre-half. Marc Guehi springs to mind, but because of departures and also tragic circumstances, they need another forward as well. From a selfish point of view, that wouldn't be Isak, but I understand why they're looking at him because he's bloody good. If they land Guehi and Isak, I guess it might be over for everyone. Shearer was also full of praise for Arsenal's new marquee centre-forward Gyökeres, following his 2-goal haul in the 5-0 demolition of Leeds. Even if he faces a different test at Anfield up against Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. The Premier League's all-time record goal scorer is adamant the Gunners must play to the bullish Swede's strengths to get the best from him, particularly without the injured Bukayo Saka. Shearer continued. Gyökeres will have found it frustrating. In the first match against Manchester United, he will have felt a hell of a lot better after scoring 2 against Leeds. There's still work to do in terms of getting him used to Arsenal's system and what he wants and needs. If you're going to pay that amount of money for a striker, you're going to have to play to his strengths. Sometimes pass won't benefit him, but you can't take away what Saka is good at or Ebereki is, so you need to find the balance. Shearer knows all about hype after bursting onto the scene as a fresh-faced youngster at Southampton. When he plundered a hat-trick against Arsenal in April 1988 at 17 years and 240 days, he became the youngest ever player to net a first-division treble, breaking the great Jimmy Greaves' long-standing 30-year record. The ex-England frontman claims, "It's difficult to hold back Liverpool's YNWA, scorer of a sensational 90+10 winner against Shearer's beloved Newcastle on Monday, and Arsenal ace Max Dowman when they have already proven they possess the quality to dazzle at the highest level." He concluded, "Rio's finish the other night was the finish of a 28-year-old in his prime. Given the circumstances, given they lost a 2-goal lead and the importance of the finish, it looked so natural. That was the big positive. There has obviously been some talk about him and Max Dowman for a while now, but it's difficult to hold that talent back when you have that much ability. Starting games on a regular basis is very different. I guess that won't happen for a while, but being around the first team, coming on and playing your part, is very difficult to stop because of their talent. Once you get a taste for it, Dowman won a penalty, Rio got the goal, they will want it all the time. Because of their incredible talent, pressure is going to be there. The club will try and protect them, but the people they have around them will determine if they're still around in 10 or 15 years' time. Alan Shearer was speaking at the launch of Betfair's Safe Sub. If your player goes off, it's not over yet. Selected leagues, markets. Liverpool transfer news live. Marc Guehi bid. Alexander Isak done deal. Morgan Rogers update. There is now not long left for clubs to conclude their transfer business, with the summer window closing in just a few days' time. The deadline comes on Monday, September 1st at 7 p.m. It's been a pretty busy window for Liverpool so far, with 8 new arrivals at the club, including record signing Florian Wirtz. One name who continues to be linked with a move to Liverpool is Alexander Isak. The forward is training alone at Newcastle United, having indicated his desire to leave the club despite having 3 years left on his contract. The 25-year-old also issued a statement last week claiming promises made to him by the club have been broken and the relationship can't continue. Liverpool have already seen an 110mm bid rejected for the striker this summer. Liverpool announced Gakpo contract extension. Cody Gakpo has signed a new long-term contract at Liverpool. The 26-year-old has committed his future to the club following a successful 2.5-year spell at Anfield. Gakpo has played 131 times for the Reds, scoring 42 times and assisting 16. Since moving from PSV Eindhoven, the Netherlands international has won the Premier League and Carabao Cup. I feel at home, my family feels at home, and that's also a big decision always, the Dutchman said following the announcement of his new deal. They feel good. I'm very happy at the club, a good group, good teammates, so the life around the football itself is very good, and I enjoy every moment of it. I'm very grateful that I can extend. Howe issues Isak update. Eddie Howe dropped a cryptic update on Alexander Isak's future following Newcastle United's goalless draw with Leeds. Speaking on Sky Sports, the Magpies boss said, "I don't know, I'm not party to any talks going on. I've been preparing for this game, and you can imagine that's demanding enough. So, I will find out like everyone else." The Echo understands that Liverpool had a 110mm bid for Isak rejected at the start of August, and they've been awaiting encouragement from Newcastle before tabling an improved offer. More on Guehi to Liverpool. According to the Times journalist Paul Joyce, Crystal Palace want 35mm plus 5mm in add-ons for Marc Guehi. The report claims that Liverpool have offered 35 and a 10% sell-on clause for the England international. It's said that the Premier League champions first proposed a 35 fee to Palace higher-ups shortly after the Community Shield earlier this month. Guehi has recently entered the final year of his contract at Selhurst Park, and he'll be available on a free transfer next year. Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.